ഇളനീർക്കുടയിൽ ഇളവേലിൽ എൻ മലയാളം നന്മകൾ വിളയും നറുതേനൊഴുകും പുതുമലരായ എൻ മലയാളം തെക്കൻ കാറ്റിലാടി മൗനവീണ വീട്ടി പൂമരങ്ങൾ പുൽകി ഭൂതലം തഴുകി നിന്നിൽ നിന്നു വിരിയും കാവ്യം ഹരിതഭാവലാസ്യം ഇളനീർക്കുടയിൽ ഇളവേലിൽ എൻ മലയാളം നന്മകൾ വിളയും നറുതേനൊഴുകും പുതുമലരായ എൻ മലയാളം.
With the emerging changes and challenges so rapid, we need a strategy for our state's development. This we shall be helped to understand further by our guest speaker today, Sri Jacob Isho, through the Center for Environmental Efficiency platform. And now I further welcome Dr. Hemathi ma'am to further address the people.
Okay, thank you, Parvati. And first of all, I would like to introduce the people who are in the front line of CE, myself, and also Parvati. She is the research associate, online research associates working with me. And also Boni Raju is there. He's the online event partner. He is controlling the event online platform, and he has been associated with Center for Environmental Efficiency for a long time. First, he was with the Stress-Wise Technologies, which was a GIS firm. And actually, Boni Raju and our company and myself, the CE has jointly developed an ENCC map of Ernakulam district, which is to be refined and fine-tuned, for which support from all of the people from all walks of life, or especially the people who are sitting in the hot seats are required, because the people sitting in the chair only can, influential people only can create a change. We can help them, or we can enable them, we can cooperate with them, we can initiate, but the things has to happen. The influential chairs has to act. And this is not a Center for Environmental Efficiency theme is not such a thing that it can be taken up individually, but it as a group. And I will explain about the World Town Planning Day, and three things are joining that coincided this time. That's for this day. That means, first of all, it is World Urban Planning or Town Planning Day. And second thing is that our COP26 summit is going on after post-COVID. No, this COP26 Glasgow summit is very, very important, because some changes has to take place in the world scenario with respect to environment and development. And third thing is that our state of Kerala is celebrating its 65th anniversary after its formation in 1956. Considering all these things, the topic selected by our guest speaker, Sri Jacob Isho, is very, very relevant. That is an action plan for planned development of Kerala. I welcome all the registered participants and those who are present here. I'm very happy to welcome you all people. And especially the people that Elizabeth Madam and Madam Elizabeth and Madam Mary P. Matthews, both of them were my seniors in GCDA. Both of them were my chief chair in GCDA, and they are really supporting me and involved in the activities of Center for Environmental Efficiency. For the last 3 sessions we conducted, they have been extending all possible cooperation and support to me. I am really thankful to Mary Madam and Elizabeth Madam for supporting me for this small actions for a global cause. And next is that I am happy to welcome our chief guest, Sri Jacob Isho, because he was happily accepted. I proposed that, why don't you, sir, you come and give a comprehensive presentation on this topic about the action plan for Kerala. He wholeheartedly agreed. And I'm very, very thankful to Sri Jacob Isho sir for coming and giving a lecture like this, and to grace this occasion, this World Town Planning Day, by your presentation or lecture or the talk. That is really thankful to you. And next is, there are so many people who have registered with this event. And I saw some new faces like Farsana, Abhinesh, Lakshmi Das, Devi Ganga. All these people must be students because these people are not known to me. These are the new faces, so that I'm very happy to know that at least some new faces have joined, logged in to know more about the plant development of Kerala and also about the E and CC theories. And also the people who are joined here, you have registered the event. That means again it shows signs of solidarity and synergy. I'm also very happy for that. There are so many faces. Actually, the people who are sitting in influential chairs who can make changes. Actually, I have invited that means our chief town planner Shiji Chandran, and actually she said if she's not in travel, she will be joining this session. Somehow she's not seen here. Probably she might be joining after some time. I invited Abdul Malik, our GCDA secretary also, because those people are in chair so that they can make some changes. And also, I invited this thing, IP chief, global chief and the erstwhile chief town planner, Ajay Kumar. He told me that he will be attending the program. And also Jay Kumar, ITPA KRC chairman, that means president. And actually, he is also sitting in one of the hot seats in Trivandrum so that he can make changes. So the people who are sitting in chairs can make a lot of changes, and we all will support support with what all initiatives you are making. And about, I have got strong connection to the academia also. That is Miss Bindu of GEC Thrissur, Mr. Firoz of NIT Calicut, and Dr. Priyanjali and Dr. Shubha. Dr. Shubha is from Cochin University and Dr. Priyanjali is from CET, and also Dr. Jolie. And all these people I have been in constant contact, and also Madam Meenakshi, they are in SPA Delhi, and also there are Madam Sumana, they are in IIT Kharagpur. And whatever presentations I make, I used to forward it to them so that they used to share it in their student groups. That is how we can take up the theory. Almighty has given me some insights based on my research, that is about the E and CC. And those people who are new here, or those who haven't attended my session, I can explain you in simple words. EE and CC theory means actually it is urban and regional planning. E stands for urban and CC stands for region. Actually, urban planning is more of subjective in nature, so that it is very difficult to establish our proposals. So that a kind of objectivity is inculcated through E and CC, because some kind of values, that is E can be calculated, CC can be calculated, so that actually E is urban, that means it is human development approach is used for urban centers, and for the regions in ecosystem approach is used for that. Being urban planners or the students of urban planners, they can understand easily. Actually, EE and CC are like two sides of a coin. And in order to implement this EE and CC, planned development is very much required. Unplanned development, we cannot achieve EE and CC. And EE and CC are the crux of world sustainability also, because it is at the global level. There are HDI calculations of UNDP and EFP, ecological footprint calculations of global footprint network, and also biocapacity calculations of global footprint network. These three things combined together, and I formed two indicators which define the world sustainability. Once we know the concept, we can evolve policies, programs, and projects. And if you want to know more about it, you can just log in www.centerforenvironmentalefficiency.org. And nowadays, we all, a kind of environmental anxiety or climate anxiety is getting in our crowd, especially with respect to Kerala. This Mullaperiyar Dam issue is a real anxiety factor. and which can be neutralized only by activism. And in Los Angeles and all, my daughter used to tell that instead of this Meghaspodanam, they are telling that as atmospheric river. So these places in California also, these kind of heavy rains are happening. It is known as atmospheric river. And also about the KSS origin, actually this is originated in GCDA itself while I was a senior town planner. And 5-6 sessions we conducted it that were very gracefully, and after that we couldn't continue that. And if it's a town planner, I don't know, PR Jayasri is here, PR Jayasri, Shidi Chandran, NR Omana, all these people were with me, along with me to continue that. So next thing which is vested in me is to commemorate late Srimati Usha Kumari. Now, before that, I'm welcoming Jacob Isho sir, because Jacob Isho sir is highly dedicated, hardworking person, and he has got strong perseverance and is courageous. He has got the guts to say whatever he wants, that which I like. And I really congratulate and felicitate the hard work of Sri Jacob, the hard work and determination of Jacob Isho sir for a cause which is beneficial for the plant development of Kerala. Now, I will be switching over to giving tribute to late Srimati Usha Kumari. And if I talk about her, I have to talk a lot because a lot of experiences and connections with her. So that I wrote one thing and I will read it out. Tribute to late Srimati Usha Kumari, PR, erstwhile Senior Town Planner, Government of Kerala. Sri Usha Kumari PR was known to me from the year 1994 when we met at Kerala PSC interview at Thiruvananthapuram. That was for the post of Deputy Town Planner Direct in the Town Planning Department, Government of Kerala. After serving a decade in central government, I joined in Town and Country Planning Department in the year 1998, and we are allotted the same room where Usha Kumari was sitting. As I was not familiar with the state government file system, Srimati Usha taught me to enter the NOT files, which were later the strongest defense in my career. Revealing to her that I took urban planning to get a government job, she told me that her preference to do masters in planning was to know that it is a social science oriented course. I felt respect for her decision. Yes, from a civil engineer to urban planner, our mindset, setup and perspective changes. I say urban and regional planning is a godly profession with long-term perspectives, and one may not get appreciation and easily, but sometimes only reprimands. After about 6 months, I moved to GCDA. From 1999 to 2017, I was in constant contact with Srimati Usha Kumari. Later, when I was Senior Town Planner GCDA, she was GCDA Executive Committee member, being the Senior Town Planner Ernakulam District. She was very supportive when I was having difficult times in my career. Later, after my superannuation from GCDA, she was given the additional duty as Secretary GCDA, which was too hefty for her to deal with both the hot seats simultaneously. Her health deteriorated, which got aggravated being away from home. Later, she moved to her hometown to take treatment. She took voluntary retirement as she found difficulty in continuing her study duties. Adding insult to injury, she lost her beloved son too, who was about to take up his job after his B.Tech from a premier institution. She left to her heavenly abode on August 31st, 2021. After 2 years of struggle, for which nobody could give a logical explanation on why these have happened to her. Yes, she used to be very simple, righteous, knowledgeable, and a lady officer with a balanced mind, both in her expressions and her decisions. May her soul rest in peace. Her husband Sanal, daughter Gayatri, her son-in-law, and all her friends may lead a blessed life imbibed by her spirit. This photo courtesy is artwork done by artist Suresh Tamanimattam in memory of Srimati Usha Kumari. Source, Facebook. Now coming back to our session, I request Mary Madam to say a few words that's to our chief guest who have come here to give a presentation.
Good evening, everyone. On the occasion of World Town Planning Day, we at the Center of Environmental Efficiency, headed by Dr. May Matthew, are happy to welcome Sri Jacob Isho, former Additional Chief Town Planner, Government of Kerala, to offer valuable ideas on an action plan for planned development of Kerala. Sri Jacob Isho has his master's degree in urban and regional planning from SPA, New Delhi. He is presently the Secretary of the Society for Our Space. During his 29 years service with the Town Planning Department and later, he has worked in multifarious positions such as Chief Town Planner, District Town Planner, Secretary Development Authorities and District Promotion Council, Additional Private Secretary to the Minister for Urban Affairs, Government of Kerala, expert member of Dadra and Nagar Haveli Planning and Development Authority, visiting professor, Government Engineering College, Trivandrum, Chairman, Kerala Regional Chapter of the Indian Institute of Town Planners, etc. His service is studied with milestone achievements like designing methodology for local and district planning, researches related to the preparation of LDP and IDDP and development plans, preparation of State Urbanization Report of Kerala, presentations and publications of professional papers, and so on. I had attended his presentation of the Kollam district plan and noted his expertise in dealing with the pioneering planning exercise. So we note your deep interest in the town planning profession during your service and also after retirement. I have studied the lacunas pointed out by you on the amendment bill of the TP Act 2016, and they are absolutely appropriate. So we are eager to hear from you your ideas on action plans for planned development for Kerala. So I invite Dr. Jacob Isho to give his presentation.
Good evening, everybody. First, let me wish you all happy World Town Planning Day. And let me thank Center for Environmental Efficiency for inviting me, especially Dr. May Matthew. And this meeting was started with remembrance of Srimati Usha Kumari, ex-senior town planner. See, this presentation, I think I can dedicate it to her because this presentation is mostly going to talk about the Kerala Town and Country Planning Act 2016. The Kerala Town and Country Planning 16 Act, it is basically drafted by Srimati Usha Kumari. So it is fully justified if I submit this presentation to her for her memory. Srimati Usha Kumari, she was my town planner when I was working in Chief Town Planner's office for more than 6 years. So she was very close to me and I cannot forget her technical work as well as personal relationship. So with this, let me start my presentation. Today's presentation is I am drawing an action plan for a planned development of Kerala. Sadly, this is a random source of from my experience. Mainly the content of this presentation. First, I will discuss the planning system of Kerala, of course, without discussing planning system of Kerala. I cannot go for an action plan. Then the basic law behind this plan development, that is sadly Kerala Town and Country Planning Act. So to act, Kerala Town and Country Planning Act 2016, that is the principal act of Kerala for the subject town and country planning. So Kerala Town and Country Planning Act 2012, I will discuss in this presentation. Second, the latest amendment, that is 2021. In last month, it was enacted by the Kerala Assembly. So Kerala Town and Country Planning Amendment Act 2021 will also be discussed in this presentation. Then I am drawing the action plan and a few suggestions. So before entering into the subject, let me give a few background of this. Everybody knows that India is a largest democratic country of the world. And the democracy right, that is mentioned in the preamble itself. So the gathering, our groups, everybody knows about the 73rd and 74th Constitution Amendment Act. This act is enacted, this constitution is enacted in 1993, and it is for mainly deepening the local democracy. And certainly democracy is the most civilized system for including all. Certainly the democracy got its own weakness, that is true. Coming to the planning, see, everybody thinks, especially the town planners, they think that planning is simply a technical process. It is not like that. Planning, actually, we are doing a decision making. So decision making means the political process or the planning is very important, especially in a democratic world, because we are living in a democratic country. So in a democratic nation like us, like India, the plan should be of people and by the people and for the people. But it should not mean that technical temper of the plans shall not be surrendered. How the people's wish are transformed into the vision of the plans into democratic world shall therefore the success of the town planning law. The Kerala Town and Country Planning Act 2016, that is the principal act of the Town Planning Act of the Kerala. 2016 it is in line with the 23rd and 24th Constitution Amendment, and it may be the first Town and Country Planning Act in India of this kind. Even though we enacted a very robust legal framework in town and country planning or spatial planning, but it is actually underutilized. That is the situation in Kerala. And see, SDR, you may know this journal. one of the important journal in spatial planning, that is Spatio-Economic Development Record. The Spatio-Economic Development, in its editorial, they appreciated the planners, administrators, politicians, and others who made this landmark act act as a reality. So actually, this Kerala Town and Country Planning, this Principal Act is considered as a landmark act. It is a model for other states. In editorial, it has been stated, it is like that, I will read. It can be termed as a pioneer act for planned development of it is pioneer act for the planned development of a local planning area, compromising boundaries of various municipalities, town panchayat and village panchayat. Provisions has been made for the preparation of master plan, execution plan, land pooling act, landing pooling scheme, and town planning schemes. So execution plan, that is a new type of race of plan. That is, execution plan is also included in the basic Principal Act in 2016. Then planning for Joint Planning Committee. That is a editorial written by the SDR. The Kerala enacted the Kerala Town and Country Planning Act in 2016, which is framed, fully conceived in the spirit of Constitution of 73rd and 73rd Amendment Act. This would be the first Town and Country Planning Act in India following the principle of decentralization. It is another speciality. It has followed the basic principles of the decentralization. That is, principle of subsidiarity. It was followed the integration of the various development parameters and entrusting or empowering the local governments in plan formulation. It is prepared based on the various national model and recommendations of the government of India. That is Model Town and Country Planning Act. It is based on this Model Regional Town Planning and Development Law. It is a central government model law formulate from the Ministry of Urban Development. It is. Then Manual for Integrated District Plan also recommended the act is formulated based on the recommendations of the manual. In Principal Act, that is 2016 Act, state level there are some plans, metro level some plans, and district level plan, some plans are there, and again local level plans are there. All 4 levels of plans. At state level, the provision for 20-year state perspective plan, that provision is there in 2016. That is, I'm talking about the Principal Act, that is 2000 Act only now. Amendment, I will come later. Then provision for the regional subject plans. Then metro level and district level. It is according to the 74th Constitution, the draft development plan is supposed to be prepared by in the framework of Town and Country Planning Act. That is a speciality. The guideline, what are the components, everything, it was given in our Principal Act. That is, it is a draft development plan. The draft development plan is our Constitution says that for the DPC, every DPC is supposed to prepare a draft development plan. And the Town Planning Act is formulating this act, also in metro also and district level also. But the draft development plan in this act, it was divided into 2 components. That is based on the period of planning. That is for the 20 years, it is perspective plan. And for 5 years, it is an execution plan. Similarly, the district plan also, perspective for 20 and execution for. And coming to the local level, master plan is also there for 20 years. Then execution plan for 5 years is there. Then, as usual, the detailed town planning scheme for 20 years. Then the provision for land policy scheme and project planning is there. This chart to give the planning system as per the Principal Act of 2016. See, various levels, state level, DPC, MPC level, local level. And you see how it is related. You see, you can see there is a red column here shown. These are the this red box, the plans under the Town and Country Planning Act 2016. And see, these plans are divided into two types, that is regulatory nature and development component. These two components, it is distinguished. See, previously we have a regulatory nature plans are there. That master plan DTP scheme only. But now we included a developmental plans also, that is for DPC and MPC execution plan for 5 years. Then local also there is a execution plan for 5 years. But the other plans here, how it is related is also shown here. Other financial plan, you know, we everybody knows it. State 5-year plan, district plan, then 5-year plan for LSG, then annual for LSGs. So our Town Planning Act designed a beautiful way that never it interfere with the people's planning, annual plans or 5-year plans, or the state planning board 5-year plans also. But it is interrelated. That is the speciality. The relationship I'm not discussing, it is shown as an arrow in this sketch. Spatial plans, I will give the major silent features of this planning system in these slides. The spatial planning has a regulatory and development function. As a regulatory mechanism, the government at local and regional or national level, it has given approval for given activity. And as a development mechanism, the government had to elaborate upon the development tools for providing service and infrastructure for establishing directions. This development mechanism is missing in our system. Previously, it was missing. So there was a wide gap between regulatory and project planning, and wide gap between physical planning and our financial or 5-year planning. That is why most of the master plans are remain as a paper plans. It may be kept in our shops only. It is because of there is a wide gap between our master plan and the 5-year plans. So this 5-year plan, this gap has been demolishing by introducing the execution plan. That is the primary role of the execution plan is to enhance the integration between sectors such as housing, transport, energy, and industry, and to improve regional and local system of the urban and rural development, and also taking into the account of environmental conservation. So execution plan acts as a platform for integration of our sectors. And let me see, normally, say our definition of the spatial planning is in this slide. That is, it is in the present act also, it is defined like this. the Act defined spatial planning as a classic manner. That is, spatial planning means a scientific discipline adopted for town and country planning with a comprehensive approach for physical organization of space according to the overall strategy directed towards promoting sustainable and inclusive development of urban and rural area, providing geographical expression of developmental, economic, and sectoral and ecological and policies of the society. But there is another definition, the latest definition by the United Nations in Economic Commission of Europe on spatial planning in 2008. So spatial planning is a key instrument. See, previously we are creating a spatial structure, many spatial hierarchy, land use order likewise. But here it becoming a key instrument for establishing long-term and sustainable framework for social and territorial and economic development of both within between the country. Its primary role is to enhance the integration between sectors such as housing, transport, energy, and industry, and to improve national and local system of urban and rural development, and also taking into account environmental conservation. This study on spatial planning is overview document of draw the attention of policymakers to the importance of spatial planning. It also aims at raising awareness of importance of increased community involved and social cohesion, as well as of the role of all parties concerned in territorial development of implementation of housing and related policies and environmental protection. The study puts emphasis on the need of study of the sharing vision and consistent direction of the spatial development based on the efficient use of the resource, good governance, public-private partnership, and effective decision making with regard to the investment. So, see, previously our definition of the spatial planning is now it is slightly changed. It was previously we are just organizing in geographical system, but now it is becoming an instrument for integrated development. So by introducing this execution plan in the Principal Act is we are going beyond to our classical definition to the present definition of spatial planning. So actually we are introducing dynamic spatial planning or urban development has to be introduced through execution plan for a better governance. And similar findings, the same findings you can see at the various national seminars in 1995 and also UDP. See, UDPFI guideline was formulated based on this principle. And there is another section, that is section 75 in 2000 Act. The local government, there is a provision for local government institution to implement project through annual plan fire plans. This section actually mandate local government to implement through annual plans and fire plans. And section 26, the government department, see, both local self-government and line department should take the plans from our execution plan as well as master plans for preparing their plans. This is only repetition. And let me just highlight some of the content in the execution plan. See, the execution plan is considering actually the Grama Sabha, Ward Sabha, Ward committees, suggestions. Then it created strategy for an integrated development. That is, it is becoming a tool. It is for a fire plan. Execution plan is for a 5-year plan period. and sector development policy. So it gives a platform for various line departments to act. Then various other implementation mechanism, physical requirement, that is also. This is what about the Principal Act. Now I am going to the amendment, the recent amendment. See, this is the situation after the 2021. It is not bill now, it is now act. Planning system as per the Amendment Act 2021. It is already passed. So you can see plans under the town and country planning, that execution plan, both it was taken out. Then state perspective plan, it was it was tagged, prefixed with a spatial perspective plan. So that the scope of integrated approach, that was already cut down. In DPC and MPC plan also, they suffix spatial perspective plan. There is no execution plan. So only regulatory nature plans are there. Then master plan also, then execution plan at the local level, that is also taken it out. Then DTP scheme land pool, that everything is that, but they introduce another parallel system of master plan by introducing spatial plan for spatial area. Okay, the basic defect, basic gap, that is the link between the regulatory and development plan is widened. That is the basic, and this is the comparison of the Principal Act of 2016 and this is the this column, it is the Principal Act, and this column, it is the Amendment Act, that is 2000 Act. At state level, as I said, the state perspective plan, it is stayed to the state spatial perspective plan. The spatial, it is prefixed to every our plan. There is tagging. See, perspective plan for metros. DC also no execution plan. The local level also execution plan is there. This is the basic, that the development plans all are omitted, and this make a very gap. And this I'm just limiting with the Town Planning Act. Now I'm going to discuss about the action plans. See, in 2022 and 2027, this is the next 5-year plan period. So in 22 next year, we will enter the next 14th 5-year plan. So my first suggestion is next 14th 5-year plans of our LS, local self-government institution, it should be spatial planning oriented. Actually, we know the importance of the spatial, that I'm not discussing, and even our decentralization group, they well aware about this situation. They also want a spatial planning oriented 5-year plan for our local government. But unfortunately, our professional team is not feeding the concerned decision-making authorities. That is the issue. Say, I have a many discussion with the decentralized group. I know they are much interested for spatial planning oriented, but anyhow, our decision-making people, especially, let me say, the present town and country planning wing of the LSGD, they are not making any effective step for this. First, my suggestion is that we have to orient. This should be our one of the major agenda. And unfortunately, this planning board, they are constituting their task force or working groups or the various fire plans, the same sets of people only. They will not change the people. Every time, I think, every fire plan, you can see the same person is working with this task force. So no change is happening in the planning board or their report. Something had to be done in this issue. So second, my suggestion is under decentralization, every local self-government institution, they are supposed to prepare a development report. That is there. Sometimes it is development report or some vision report, vision document likewise. Anyhow, they are supposed to prepare a similar development plan report. So my suggestion is that this DR, this development report should be converted to a plan as like execution plan. It should be prepared, this DR development report, it should be prepared in a spatial platform. In village side, in block level, they do some spatial planning approach through the watershed management, but it is not effective. There is no professional touch in their plan. So this we have to introduce. Then we have to evoke Kerala Town and Country Planning Act, Section 75, 76. These two sections I have already discussed in previous slides. That is, state government DPC can issue guidelines to the local government for preparing their plans. That provision is there in the in 2016 Act. That in present Act also, this provision is there. 2021 Act also, this guideline is there. That provision is there. So evoking this 75 and 76, DPC or MPC can issue guideline to the various local government. And they can direct the development report. It should be prepared in the spatial planning orientation. This is really possible. See, this is I'm talking from my experience. Certainly, you might have heard about the Integrated District Development Plan, IDDP, LDP at Kollam model of district planning. Actually, that IDDP was formulated based on the decision of the DPC, not from state government or from the planning board or from the government or from town and country planning department. I always say, let me put it in Malayalam because that will be in Nasarathi in Nalma Verumo. എന്നൊരു ചോദ്യമുണ്ട്. അത് നസ്രത്തിൽ നിന്ന് നന്മ വരില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ട് that I'm talking, see, I don't expect good thing from state level bodies. Actually, IDDP was originated as a decision of the DPC Kollam. Similarly, we have to work out. There is a provision in the town and country planning, the DPC has the power. So evoke that. So in first phase, let us See, even though execution plan provision is not there, see, when IDDP Kollam was preparing, there was no provision in Kerala Town and Country Planning Act or any act for IDDP. There was no provision. But the DPC decided to formulate an IDDP. Similarly, so if we are able to convince with the state government, then well and good. But I don't expect Utti from Nazareth. I'm frankly, let me tell something frankly. Because it is like that. The first phase of the execution for all municipal corporation and all municipal councils. Then extend the program to other LSA. This is the first action plan I'm suggesting. Certainly, for this, we need some framework. That I'm just not presenting this. A few rules had to be prepared for the evoking various town planning act that is mentioned in this slide. So I'm going into the action plan 3. Then after this, to prepare a drafted urban plan for district and metro plans as per, see, actually, I'm emphasizing in line with the Kerala Town and Country Planning Act 2016, that is Principal Act. Even though this provision is not not statutorily available, but the DPC can decide for preparing a draft development plan. That is possible. Then revise the present state urbanization report. See, state level also says perspective plan, it is necessary. So my suggestion is to prepare, update state urbanization report, then upgrade to the state perspective plan. And constitute a town and country planning board also. Then prepare master plan for LHCA. We should need a action plan for preparing master plan for all LSEI in this 14th 5-year plan period. Sadly, when I'm talking this, preparing so many plans, it is not a simple task. So there is a necessary of outsourcing for local plans. Need for outsourcing local plans and project planning is necessary for a full-fledged planned development of Kerala. That is, then only we can have a planned development of Kerala. With this action plan, I'm just suggesting some recommendations also. See, at present, there is no independent department for town and country planning in Kerala. So it is highly necessary for the formulation of an independent state department for spatial planning or town and country planning. Actually, that is necessary. It is actually, we have to understand what is the basic function of the Chief Town Plan. As per the Town and Country Planning Act, that is even as per the latest Amendment Act also, the Chief Town Planner's duty, that statutory duty, is for the legal scrutiny of the regulatory plans. That is for the master plan, DTP scheme, that regulatory plans, legal scrutiny of the regulatory plans of the local governments. That is the statutory, mandatory duty of the Chief Town Planner. So Chief Town Plan, all other work entrusted with the chief town planner is only advisory. Now, chief town planner is preparing various master plan, various DTP scheme, various likewise. Actually, it is not the duty of the chief town planner. It is the duty of the local government to prepare the master plan or DTP scheme. For preparing this plan, the present act entrusts a local government to consult the consultants also. Well, it can be outside, or it can be given for outsourcing for preparation. That is possible. But as per the present act, the mandatory function of the chief town planner is the legal scrutiny of the town and country planning, legal scrutiny of the master plans and DTP scheme for the government. So it means that independent, with full freedom, a state town and country planning department is necessary. It should not be attached to a local self-government department. That is, it is actually contradiction in our act. Chief town planner who is scrutinizing the master plan for the government, it should have full freedom. He shall not be attached to a local self-government department. If it is attaching, it is a contradiction. So that is my point. So that is why this is very important. Then only the town and country planning profession will have its own identity. Certainly, the present town and country planning wing of the local self-government may be deputed under LSDI. It should be transferred to the concerned local self-governments, not as a work as a department. It should be work as an engineering department in local self-government for preparation, enforcement, and implementation. So the independent department should do the legal scrutiny. So there in local self-government, it is necessary. My suggestion is to create a chief planners in each and every municipalities, and like a municipal engineer, there should be a chief planner in every municipalities and subsequent corporation like us. And actually, in UDPFI model law, it is that suggestion was there, but unfortunately, our act it omitted that suggestion. Okay, then state regional planning subject may be entrusted to the state department, local planning, and department of LSG planning should be a planning. Okay. Then coming to the development authority, actually the present development authority have that role. It should be established. We have to identify the development authority for the land development of the respective area. It should be, actually, our land development seem to be very, very haphazard manner it is developing. No planned development approach is going on in land development. So development authority, see, my suggestion is that it should be an authority for land development respective area. So it should be a dedicated team for functioning project planning, including land pooling schemes, land banking, TDR, etc. Actually, this TDR or land banking, land pooling, this cannot be entrusted to a local self-government. It is not possible because, see, land development means our land is actually controlled by a big mafia. So only the authority, like a development authority, can handle this. So when the land banking is started, say our planned development will also be will be move in a fast manner. Then some suggestions in planning practices and some approaches. Certainly, say our 3-dimension, that is environmental, economy, social equity. This should be balanced, and balance between related factors that is the critical. So this balance, I'm going to explain this. Certainly, our May Matthew will. She is the best person to explain this. And sustainable should be our goal. And the tool like environmental efficiency and carrying capacity, ecological for such a modern analysis, it should be used for such a balancing, that environmental, economy, and social dimension. Then I'll go so many parameters I'm discussing is I will go just reading this. The combat town a city seem to be considerably better to live and sustainability criteria than sprawling urban structures. Yeah, in this state urbanization report also, this has been formulated. This policy has been formulated and it was raised. Then sadly, this maybe need discussion. Low-rise, high-density built form has to be several. This is my suggestion. Sometimes maybe a difference of opinion may be there. The urbanization should be visualized as a major instrument for agriculture and rural development. The land must be treated as a natural resource, and land use planning converted into resource planning rather than being a zoning exercise. The land must be situated to agriculture or need suited to the agriculture or needed for environmental protection should not be converted to urban use. Instead, land with the least opportunity cost must be used for building. Soil, water, bioreserve link should be resources link should be not be disturbed normally. Housing for poor should be considered as a human right, barring some sensitive area. Open land suited for building should be brought under the land readjustment or land pooling scheme. Land under absolute use should be permitted for recycling. Structure of the city, town should be planned in such a manner that enforce movement to reduce to a minimum. Neighborhood unit, especially in designing neighborhood unit, that is very important in this post-COVID era. City must be a basic planning blocks of the urban structure of the city and place where the human scale is perceived. Existing open space should be pursued seriously. Pedestrianization and selected roads and street recycling of old buildings. Mass transportation system should be encouraged. Bicycle track should be planned. Encourage water harvesting and watershed management, integrated sanitation. Then particular attention should be given to the fuel, firewood, such suit for the urban poor. Energy conservation should become a part of the urban planning and design process. The new technology, remote sensing GIS, should be exploited. Need to be widen the scope of planning from merely physical land use approach to wider the suitable urban development. That is our execution plan actually is this example for widening the scope of planning. Then humanize the city through consolidation democracy. That is democracy. We should respect the democracy because it is the civilized manner of doing things. Exercising citizenship and shaping a new social stride. Develop accounting process in urban and development accounting, certainly accounting process that is also very. And let me discuss two curses of Kerala that need an immediate attention. That one is that the Kerala is having a very high generic FAR for Kerala, a blanket proposal, a universal FAR just for Kerala, for maximum FAR. That is and everywhere it is like that. And it is interesting through our building rule. It should be taken out. My suggestion is the maximum FAR, the building should be limited to 2. However, I am not against the higher FAR. It should be permitted through master plan and DTP scheme only. And it should, that again I underline, higher FAR it is permitted, no bar, but it should be permitted through master plan and DTP scheme only. Then again, no effective rule for land development or plot subdivision. Actually, there was a beautiful suggestion in Paul P. Mani Commission on Development Authority during 1960s or 70s, but it was not implemented. It was chaired by Paul P. Mani, members V. Ramayendran, and the member secretary was Matthew Varghese sir. Beautiful decision maker, but it was that commission report was not implemented. It is a commission report about development authority. So we need an amendment in Registration Act, and this is a must for a planned development. And finally, I am ending my presentation. I have discussed many various aspects here, but don't consider that recommendation isolation or piecemeal, but it should be considered as an integrated proposal. Otherwise, no meaning of saying sustainable habitat. We have to aim for a sustainable habitat. That is should be our aim. And sustainability is depending upon our collective action, and tomorrow's environment depend on how we act today. Thank you.
So this is only a starting point. We will go through all the slides, whatever you have given. And we will also be putting our ideas, and we also feel, because we are from the development authorities, and mainly Elizabeth ma'am, Mary P. Matthews ma'am, and myself. And we all, and there are people who have worked in development authorities like Jayasri madam, then Shiji madam, all these people are there. And also Jayakumar is also, he also worked in development authorities. And what I found that during making the Town Planning Act process, several meetings were conducted in Kila and all. Unfortunately, none of the representative of development authority was not there, so that we could raise some points which are useful for the state. And there is no forum for us to raise our concern also. And I request Madam Elizabeth to start a panel discussion regarding, at least in a fast and in a very hurry mode, because at least 10-20 minutes we can spend, because it's already, I think it's going to be more than 1.5 hours. But still, without telling our opinion also, no, it will not be fruitful. So, Madam Elizabeth, I request Madam Elizabeth to start your panel discussion.
Thank you very much. This was a very fruitful and exhaustive presentation made by Mr. Jacob Issou. Thank you very much for enlightening each of us. We all had a small idea of what is happening, but you explained it properly, that we all, this is a sort of a think tank. So we can all think together and do whatever we can, even though we are out of service. I think our opinions may be heard in the long run. Now coming to the discussion regarding the omission of execution plans, he had explained in detail the problems that might happen. And now the time is over, because the execution, the 2021 Act has already come into effect. So what we have to do is how to make the present Act more suitable for our situation. So we can think of that, because 73rd and the spirit and content of 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act and the Model Town and Country Planning Act has to be kept in mind. Uh, so the local bodies have to prepare their own plans. That is a very good suggestion. But uh, but the town planning department is working very hard to prepare and make them accept these plans. But if the local bodies themselves can prepare their own plans, it will be a very welcome idea. Then, as Mr. Jacob Bisho has suggested, we can think of setting up, we should think of setting up the local bodies, especially corporations and urban areas, by strengthening the planning function of these institutions so that they can prepare their own plans. Now, coming to our scrutiny of our plans, like master plans, it has been a regulatory most of the time because, and that is the reason why the master plans were not acceptable by many people, because it was regulatory and putting some obstruction in the way of development. That is what everybody felt at that time. Even though it had long-term good points, everybody felt that master plan is bringing some obstruction to the way of development. Actually, if the local bodies themselves can suggest, at least from an environmental point of view, if they can identify the wetlands and the areas to be preserved by the ward members, even the ward members can put in their effort and identify. Then after that, if a comprehensive plan is made, there will not be much objection from the local body side. So now the ball is in their court actually with the new act to make the a sustainable and sustainable plan. So coming to the implementation also, if the town planning department remains as an advisory body, that is a better approach to the whole situation. The local bodies can make their plans. Perhaps they can get help from the town planning department while they are preparing the plans, or from other experts, by hiring other experts also. They can do their plans. But that is very necessary, that they should feel that it should be their own plan. Then only they will accept it. So coming to the integrated development need, it is very, I have seen several times that some of the district plans, it was only a group of projects consolidated and then made into a report. That is why most of the district development plans, the so-called district development plans, they were not really, they were only projects. So, but the integrated development IDDP, which was prepared for Kollam by Mr. Jacob Bisho's initiation, that sort of approach was very good. But I don't know why it was not replicated in other places. And wherever the metropolitan area is there, like Kochi, these are the areas needing immediate attention, because it's there the metropolitan, if the metropolitan planning committee is formed, all the local bodies will have their representatives in that committee, and they will be at the hem of affairs, decision making. They'll get a chance for making decisions. Then they cannot say that if somebody else has prepared the plan. So the Metropolitan Planning Committee is a necessity to bring about the metropolitan plan and get it implemented. Like Development Authority, if it is also part of that. Even though names may change, with the technical expertise, the Development Authority or the town planners taken for implementation, then we can achieve the vision of the what Mr. Jacob Bisho has explained, to have a tie-up between environment, economy, and social equity, leading to sustainability. So I think that is very necessary. Development authorities can also work as you suggested. Okay, they can bring in the new tools adopt the new tools for land utilization, because land is a platform of all developments. So they there they can intervene and make a tie-up with the registration department, perhaps, because TDR and other things can work only if they are tied up with the registration mechanism. The land, the use of land can be restricted in a planned manner only if they are tied up with the registration department and TDR or land pooling system is involved. So that is where the MPCs, just because they have the representation from all the local bodies included in the metropolitan region, I feel that they can function much better. Then coming to the neighborhood planning, it felt very necessary, especially because of the COVID situation. We all found that neighborhoods are necessary. So neighborhood planning is necessary. And for big areas, mass transport, of course, is necessary. Then the worst thing, as he mentioned, is defining one FAR for throughout Kerala. There's no meaning in saying that the FAR is for the whole of Kerala, because that itself ruins the planning, whatever we have in mind or whatever we have studied. That ruins that approach itself. So that is the first step that we have to take before going any further. But we have been talking about this, and because the land mafia is working very hard to protect that, so I don't know how far we will be able to succeed. Then the suggestion to have a special independent department for spatial planning is also a good idea, because basic function of the CTP is to legally scrutinize the regulatory plans, as we said. Now, regulatory plans of the local bodies, but the town and country planning department can perhaps depute also some people to help them in case they are not in a position to employ outside agencies, or if they are not fully equipped with the trained planners. So they can be given to the consultants. So all what Mr. Jacob has said has given us an insight into the process, what is to be done. An action plan for Kerala that he suggested is a very good idea. So I think there will be more forums where you can present these things, and clubbing it with the program Mrs. May Matthew has taken up. I think you will be able to bring about some change. Even though while we were in services, we could not do much about any change. But this is now we can talk more freely, I suppose. I think so. I think that thank you very much for giving an opportunity to hear the views and all the views that you have expressed has been acceptable to me, as at least the 5-year execution plan. Now that we cannot introduce it again because of the Amendment Act has already been passed, but that spirit and content should be kept while preparing the development plans. I think with these remarks, I conclude. I invite suggestions from all the other participants. Anything, everybody would like to add something to what you have said, or get some more information from you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the lively talk you had made. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. And I would like to add one or two or three points which I have noticed. That is starting from 74th Constitution Amendment Act, and which I couldn't get any forum to express all these apprehensions. And this is, I myself has created this forum so that there are influential people sitting in chair, and also the people who can make influence outside. So that I am putting across these thoughts. One is 12th schedule of 74th Constitutional Amendment Act contains urban planning that is to be delegated to the local bodies.
Mm.
Okay, Government of Kerala implemented that as per Municipalities Act. But as per the 73rd Amendment, there is an 11th schedule. In that, there is no special planning given to the local bodies. And the municipality, the Panchayat Raj Act also did not give any special planning function to the local bodies. That means rural panchayats, not urban local bodies, rural local bodies. Then why at all? We should insist the panchayats to make their master plans and execution plans. So that what I am thinking is we will prepare a very scientific district development plan with the IDDP, LDP concept or something, so regional planning concepts. And based on that, Panchayat will directly go to the annual plans. Because that is what is happening. Because none of the Panchayats are making, I don't think anybody Panchayats are making master plans or execution plans. And also, it is not intended in the constitutional amendment also. So, we have to concentrate 74th constitutional amendment in which in the 12th schedule is in the 12th schedule this urban planning function is included, and we have to concentrate on the urban local bodies to plan their local body, and rest of the areas we have to do something like a technical secretariat of district planning committee, so that they will be looking after giving all guidance and what are all the control points or salient points, salient principles, policies by which these local bodies have to take up their local plans for annual plans. Because 11th schedule does not contain this special planning function. And also Panchayat Raj Act also does not have, in that also special planning function is given. Then why this local bodies, the panchayats should make how they can, because they don't have the expertise, they don't have the capacity, they don't have this thing. And I'm telling you, after the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act and Municipalities Act, and after taking away the building applications and things like that, and destabilizing or debilitating local bodies, development authorities, not a single detailed town planning scheme has come into effect in the state of Kerala. GCDA, I'm not just big things about GCDA, because GCDA is in such a state that I don't boast of GCDA now, but at the same time, GCDA has given 23 government sanctioned detailed town planning schemes. And after 1996 or so, for the last 23 years, we cannot make a single detailed town planning scheme. So that means there is something, even though people's planning is on the anvil or which is implemented in paper, nothing is happening. Neither the town planning department is also not able to take up master plans, because they have made master plans for the Kochi master plan, but the local bodies are objecting to it. So that is the thing. So there are some kind of effective way should be implemented in Town and Country Planning Act, where Development Authority or something parallel to Development Authority, who is the implementing agency. I can say that the Town Planning Department itself, there shall be a wing which is known as Planning Wing and Execution Wing. And Executive Planner, just like Executive Engineer, he can be or she can be called Executive Planner, District Development Execution Planner, it can be called. And she will be working under the District Planning Authority, DPC. And wherever there is a metropolitan area, it should be DPCP should be replaced by MPC, so that more attention is given to those areas, because in Kerala, so many 5 or 6 metropolitan planning areas are there. But there is not a single, why MPC is not formulated, even though it is in the Municipalities Act, in the that is in the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act itself, it is told that it is a mandatory function that metropolitan MPCs is to be constituted. And also Municipalities Act also, it is told that MPC is to be constituted. Town and Country Planning Act also says that MPC should be there. Then why this MPC is not constituted? Because the problem is that our Kerala's development is not contained, it is sprawling. And it is, according to my language, it is becoming environmental efficiency is reducing, carrying capacity is also reducing because our ecosystems are reducing, urban development is not compact, it is not attaining economy. And so the present way of development authority, how development authority is accommodated in the act, it is very inefficient. We cannot do anything because if you want to take up a detailed town planning scheme, we have to get NOC from the local government, that is a panchayat or municipalities, whatever it may be. It is not possible. They will not give NOC. So present system is this development authority is sitting in one corner without doing anything, but they have got so much of assets. Comparing the complete state, I think Greater Cochin Development Authorities has the wealthiest department, but it is not used for the state's development or national development. That is the present situation. So I think I'll tell this much only. I have got some other thing also told, just like about that Mullaperiyar issue and the need of making a regional plan for the Greater Kochi area, where Ministry of Environment has identified an area, which is the catchment area of Mullaperiyar Dam. All those kinds of things are also to be considered, which are above district development plan or metropolitan area. Because if 5 districts are there, DPCs will be there. And above that, there has to be a metropolitan regional planning authority. That's what I feel. That's what I'm just putting across these thoughts to you, because important people are sitting, so that we can brainstorm and we can bring, that is our planning, it puts inputs in a very effective way so that a better Kerala can be achieved, because Kerala's situation is very bad, especially because of the global warming and climate change issues. Now that is a disaster point of view, flood, landslides, all these things are there. The Kasturi Rangan report is there, then the other report is there, but nothing is getting implemented. Only hope is that we have to give TDR in a most foolproof and scientific way to the compact centers in the region. That is the crux of the matter. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we will wind up the session because already 7:52, and I request Parvati to say a few words, to cast your vote of thanks, being the research associate from the Center for Environmental Efficiency, and she will also sing a song which is in praising the Kerala beauty, and she is a good singer. So I think you all will enjoy her session. Thank you so much.
Matthew, let me just say something about what was discussed.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Yeah, yes, very much.
Regarding execution plans, see, I know that there is no provision for execution plan in the present act. That I agree.
Yeah.
But that gap is still exists. So even the minister and all officials know that that gap is there. So they want to fill that gap that is there. So we cannot omit that gap. Something have to be filled. Then only the master plan and financial plan will be integrated. So that gap you cannot avoid. Even in the recent, there is a working group under State Finance Commission. And in that Finance Commission, there is a special working group named Spatial Planning. And under this, there is a subgroup regarding Town and Country Planning Act. In that also, it was decided that execution plan is necessary. It can be in a different name. That is, the name is not the question. That gap is there. See, integrating our long-term plan and annual plans. Another thing is that, see, when we are considering the principle of subsidiarity of the decentralization, as per the present act, there is no plan for the local government with full control. See, our master plan is not under the control of local government. They can only initiate the preparation. It is sanctioning by the state government. And again, see, planning area of the master plan, it can go outside the local government. So the principle of subsidiarity regarding the decentralization, it emphasizes the need of a full-fledged plan with the freedom of self-government. So that in technically also it exists that gap. Again, in decentralization principle also says that need of a execution plan. It can be another name, maybe development plan or development directory plan or some development report or anything like that. That is not the question. Second, regarding the list of the rural, see in that list, local, land use planning is there in the list. So ultimately, indirectly, that in central government amendment, that since land use planning is there, certainly the master plan also come under the rural local government. It is naturally it can be interpreted like that.
I don't know. I just checked the 11th schedule of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, and it is nowhere it is told about spatial planning given to local bodies. And I checked the Panchayat.
Spatial planning, it is not mentioned.
Yeah.
But land use planning it is mentioned.
That is rural.
In Kerala Panchayat Raj Act, see, I will share the Panchayat Raj Act. See, the Panchayat shall, in addition to the annual plan, 5-year plan prepared by the perspective plan for a period of 15 years, with a special focus on spatial planning for infrastructure. See, in addition to the annual and 5-year plan, prepare a perspective plan foreseeing a period of 15 years with a special focus on spatial planning for infrastructure are need to be prepared. That is there.
Okay, I will look into that.
So that is there. Then again, problem of MPC in Kerala, that is, I will see, we cannot have a DPC and MPC in a same space. That is not possible. So our act, and also in central act also, central law also, they say that, see, when MPC is constituted, DPC will be wind up for that area. So single planning authority will be there. But in Kerala, see, our metropolitan urbanization is within a district. If it is within a district, DPC has to function. If the urbanization cross our district boundary, then you can constitute MPC. Then only we can constitute MPC. That is why in Kerala, they are not constituting the MPC.
No, sir. What I'm suggesting is that in places like Ernakulam, which is mostly urban, and also the state commercial capital, and we need conservation, or that means a protection of our agricultural areas, which is in the Ernakulam district itself. So in order to get a more specified attention, instead of making a DPC, we will constitute an MPC itself for the Ernakulam district. Will that be possible?
See, as per the constitution, there is no functional difference between MPC and DPC. It is the same function. There is no difference between MPC and DPC.
No, but we will get, there has to be a technical secretariat who has to work exclusively for the development of metropolitan area. So far, 26 years we have waited, and our systems, nothing is functioning. That's what I feel. Things are going in the negative direction.
What is the difference between DPC and MPC?
I think
There is,
more,
there is,
more
see,
number
if
of
you
people.
go into the constitution provision,
Mm.
there is no difference.
No,
That is
Both
fair.
are, both are
actually-
supposed to prepare draft
Okay.
development plan.
Okay,
See,
actually, in Ernakulam, can we say that it doesn't, the urbanization doesn't cross the limits of Ernakulam district? I think it crosses the limits and it extends up to Arur, Chertala.
And
in
Chalakudi.
Alappuzha district and Chalakudi in
Tirabam,
Trichur district. Trichur
even to
district.
Thrissur.
So
see,
it's because we have limited our studies to within a district. We cannot say we have. I think we have not done a detailed study of urbanization.
see, I don't know about the 2021 census. That I don't know.
2021 did not take place, sir.
Yeah, anyhow,
That
let,
is not
let
there.
it be. Let it be. That I don't know. The situation when 22. See, in all previous census, the urban agglomeration or the Kochi also within the
It's limited. Okay.
only in within the district. That is the issue.
Yeah,
I
but
will tell
that
you-
is a
I will tell you
that is-
one thing, sir. That is just immediately after the 2011 census, no? That is provisional population totals has come. In that, I noticed that places like Chalakudi and Chertala, all
Chertala.
these places were in the Kochi urban agglomeration area. Later, when it was final population total, they have made it in such a way that it is within the district.
That
That's
I
how
know.
it happened.
That I
yeah,
know.
that is what
Anyhow, see,
normally
anyhow,
does.
the present statistics from the demography,
That is the final
sorry,
population total.
from the census,
Somebody
it's
interfered
not
in
like
that.
that. That I don't know.
Yeah.
See,
But
when it, see,
when
when
we
it is
were-
grows, when it
one
when
thing-
the
One day,
when we were studying the regional preparation of regional plan, there was an interim development plan prepared before the regional development plan for Kochi region. At that time, a study was conducted, and I think at that time the dependence of this is not the census alone. Actually, the dependence of the area for the main city.
Yeah.
We found that most of the people from Arur and Chertala area depended on Kochi rather than going to Alapi. Similarly, from Chalakudi area, they are dependent on Kochi. So if we take population alone, perhaps it may not reflect that. And also administrative boundaries have been a constraint for defining that larger area.
yeah, madam, I am not disputing with you.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
physical science, it is urbanized. That I agree. But see, our census report is not giving that
Yeah, that is
picture.
true.
That is the problem.
no, the problem is
Sometimes
that
it may be manipulated. I don't know. That I don't know.
urbanization tendency, metropolitization in a state should be wherever it is, it should be encouraged for economic development. Because now
That I
we are
agree.
just suppressing.
Yeah.
That I am
Economic
agree. That I
development.
agree.
And we are just telling that all over Kerala, it is the same. So what is happened? Urban areas are sprawling and it is killing the rural
Yeah, it
ecosystem.
is chronic.
And now we have to attain compact development for which metropolitization is required.
Actually, Kochi alone, see, in state urbanization report, we have identified about 7
Urban
areas.
agglomerations.
Yeah, that is there.
I think that.
That is there. Okay. that-
Okay.
Okay, that is
This is one
we will
passing
not
only
get any
there.
end if we are continuing like this, because lot of things are to be discussed and fine tuned, and we will again conduct sessions like this, and we will do some action plan, like we will all together will take up and we will do some kind of press conference or conduct some seminars or taking representation to the minister or some kind of activities we can do, because we are in independent platform now, at least we retired people. And I have invited the people in chair because they are the action people. They can create changes while we can propose. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the lively discussion, Madam Elizabeth, Madam. I'm very happy that you have made a very strong point in discussing about Kochi. And And I think if I am continuing, it will continue like this. So we will wind up the session. And I request Parvati to cast your vote of thanks and also your song about the scenic beauty of Kerala.
I thank every one of you for this delightful evening we had. Sir Jacob, sir, it was really enlightening to watch your and read your presentation. It was actually something that we hadn't come across, the way the comparison you made, and also especially if I were to say the land pooling scheme that you had said about. I think it is a very good idea. Like if we could actually take that up in the entire city of Kochi, it would be really good, I feel, personally. And also I thank Elizabeth ma'am for the remarkable output you said about his presentation. And also Boni Raju for helping us with this webinar without it breaking out in anywhere, and also helping me and Dr. Memati ma'am. So to wind this up, I'll just sing a song that ma'am had suggested I could. I hope any problems are വിളങ്ങും ഇളനീർക്കുടയിൽ ഇളവെയിലിൽ എൻ മലയാളം നന്മകൾ വിളയുന്നറുതേനൊരുകും പുതുമലരായൻ മലയാളം തെക്കൻ കാറ്റിലാടി മൗന വീണ മീട്ടി പൂമരങ്ങൾ പുൽകി ഭൂതളം തഴുകി കാവ്യം ഹരിത ഭാവലാസ്യം തിങ്ങി വിളങ്ങും ഇളനീർക്കുടയിൽ ഇളവെയിലിൽ എൻ മലയാളം നന്മകൾ വിളയും നറുതേനൊഴുകും പുതുമലരായൻ മലയാളം വയലുകളിൽ പൊൻകതിർ വിളയും മലയാളം കരയിൽ നിറകുട കരമൊഴുക്കും മലയാളം അരുവിയിൽ രസപരിതലമുണരും മലയാളം നവകരവിരുതിൻ ചാരുത മലയാളം മരതകമണിയും ഹരിതലമനയും രാഗാദ്ര സരജതിയായി നയനമിതറിയും അനുപമ നടനം താളത്തിൽ തകതിമയായി എന്നും എന്നിൽ വാഴും മലയാളം ഈ തനുവിലീഴും വാഴും മലയാളം തിങ്ങി വിളങ്ങും ഇളനീർക്കുടയിൽ ഇളവെയിലിൽ എൻ മലയാളം നന്മകൾ വിളയും നറുതേനൊഴുകും പുതുമലരായൻ മലയാളം. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for your patience for all this meeting, and I think it's a success from all of us.
It was a nice and vibrant session. That's what I feel. Jacob Bishop sir, you are the star of the day today, and also supported by Elizabeth ma'am, Mary ma'am, Parvati, then Boni. Actually, my son is also attending from Bangalore, and also my husband also online, and they are all muted, and their video was also muted, but they are all listening what is going on. They are side and back engines, actually. Spare engines too. My daughter and my son, they are spare engines. So whenever I need a help, they will help me. And my husband is just pushing me from the back, so that he is the back engine. Actually, I am only in the front engine along with you people, because we all will join together and create a platform like this, and for future issues like this, so that we are independent. Now we belong to a trust, so that we have got enough freedom to work as a trust and raise our opinion and things like that. So we will work together. And also I'm happy to inform you that I have got 80G and 12A registration sanction. That means for the income tax exemption from the income tax department. Actually, it is quite difficult to get it, but I got it. So a bit of improvement in the NGO activities, so that we are likely to get some fundings based on some project reports. So I'm trying for that. And once we get, all of us will be working with payment, so that we can go ahead with some activities. And thank you once again, Jacob Bishop sir, for your beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good night to all. And
Okay.
we'll meet again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bonnie, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, Parvati, for the song.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm glad everyone liked it.
Yeah, beautiful song. Beautiful song.
Nice,
Wonderful.
good song.
Actually, the selection credit goes to Dr. Meemati, ma'am. She's the one who told me to sing the song. It's a very nice song. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Right.